We are joined now by Oregon State head coach Scott Rueck and student athletes Talia von Oelhoffen and Bendu Yeaney. Scott, if you could start us off with an opening statement, then we'll open it up to questions.
All right. Well, great to be back. Nice to see all your faces. We enter this year, with certainly lots of new faces on the roster, but with lots of optimism. I like this group a lot. I like the way that they're coming together. I like the character of the group. I like the talent level of the group. And historically, I've never minded lots of new faces. I've had lots of success in years where that's been the case. And this group gives me a lot of confidence. Certainly, Talia is not a new face. Yelena is not a new face. AJ and Noel have experience. And then we're fortunate to add Bendu, fortunate to add Shalexis, both with deep histories already at this level in this conference, and then a very talented recruiting class, top three or the third ranked recruiting class in the country. And so that group is coming along already comfortable with each other, within our program and within our system. And so we're excited about what's ahead.
All right, thanks, Scott. We'll open it up for questions. Just a final reminder, please state your name and affiliation at the top. We'll start with Michelle here on the front left.
Michelle Smith, Pac-12.com. Scott, how is it that you're so comfortable with change like this? I mean, for a lot of coaches, this is, it takes a while to build chemistry. It might even feel a little disruptive, but your comfort level with this, where does that come from?
Yeah. Well, thank you, Michelle. This is year 27 for me as a head coach. And I have experience at lots of different things now. A couple of my most successful years as a D3 coach, I had 10 true freshmen. One went to the Elite Eight, one went 32-0, and won a national championship. And so coming into Oregon State with walk-ons in year one, being competitive almost every night that season, taught me not to limit anyone, to have high expectations for everyone in the program, whether it's their first year, their fourth year, to expect, well, this is a year of their life. I'm going to expect you to perform to your capabilities, build you up, give you confidence, put you in situations to be successful, and build a system that fits that group. And so historically, looking back, my experiences have prepared me for that. And so when I look at this group, there's talent, there's character, there's a desire, there's leadership. We have bigs, we have guards, we have the pieces. And so as a teacher, it just excites me to go into this year and see what we can do when there are some unknowns and there is some doubt, most likely. I kind of feel like that's my wheelhouse in a way. And so for that reason, I'm very excited.
Another question over here, far left.
Yeah, Shane Hoffman, I-5 Corridor. There's been a lot of talk today about interconference movement with the Pac-12 transfer portal and everything like that. For you, Coach, to add a player like Bendu, who you recruited, what's that been like to have her so far? And then for you, Bendu, coming home, what's that been like for you so far? And then what do you hope to bring to this team?
That was that was a time of the year where I was hitting refresh on the portal. Every other minute it felt like, as we were just seeing what our options were to fill out our roster at the time. And when I saw that name pop up, it took about 1 second. The next second was getting a hold of Bendu and just wondering what her status was and what she wanted to do. And I was so pleased to hear that, we were a place that she would consider. I've always loved Bendu ever since she was a freshman in high school and I watched her play for the first time. Been a fan of hers through her high school career, at Indiana, at Arizona. I've just always thought the world of her. It's been fun and difficult to compete against her. And so for her to partner with us now, I couldn't be happier. And so she brings joy and energy to the gym every day, a big smile, a defensive presence, and a mindset that, to be honest, we've been lacking the last couple of years. And, when I asked her on her visit, I said, Bendu, what's your favorite thing to do on a basketball court? And she goes, Coach, I like to pressure the ball. I mean, that's a beautiful thing for a coach to hear and a rare thing for a coach to hear. And so she's been nothing short of a dream, to add to this team. Very grateful.
Yeah, no, I've been super happy coming back home. It was something that I've always dreamed of. And at the time when I was younger, I wanted to spread my wings. But then when I realized spreading my wings, I always wanted to come back home every time. And so I'm just so fortunate that I'm able to come back home and be able to be coached by Coach Scott. And it's just a dream come true. And then what I'm going to be bringing to the team, just like a defensive mind, I'm going to go out there and just do anything I can to get our team to win. I've been very successful at every place I've been, and so I'm just going to use my leadership and my experience and just try to keep leading this team.
We'll go next to Joan over on the right, and then Matthew here, front left.
Hi, Scott. Joan Bonvicini, Pac-12 Networks. For the players, let's go for Talia first. I mean, you're a very good player, big scorer, and you're coach, and you have a lot of changes and new player next to you. What freshman are you counting on as a returning player to count on right now, if you had a game tonight, to be a significant addition or contribute to your team?
Honestly, I think all 5 freshmen are going to be huge for us. They're all going to contribute and all have impacts in their own ways. They're a super talented group. I've been really impressed with Reagan Beers so far, kind of backing up Yelena. She's a really strong force in the post, but all 5 of them definitely are going to get some big minutes and contribute for us this year.
Okay, and Bendu, I know you're a great defensive player, but the philosophies of how you played at Arizona and now at Oregon State, they're both defensive-minded, right? But they're different. So for you and for Scott, are you going to pressure the ball more than you have before, Scott, and you're going to let her go like full court, or what are you going to do?
I hope so.
Well, I think the last perimeter player that would identify as a defensive player that we've had is Gabby Hansen.
Okay.
And Gabby pressured the ball, and Gabby picked up full, and Gabby impacted every possession and dictated tempo for us and bought Ruth Hamlin time to get back on defense and was totally disruptive. And because of that, we have a model, and that is what I like to do. We just have to do what we're capable of doing, each year. And so Bendu allows us to be a little bit more like what I'd love to be.
And then just a follow-up for Bendu, because Scott is like a master of drawing plays up, and I mean, you are. I mean, you're one of the best.
Thanks.
So is that a lot different for you, like your playbook and knowing all the plays and the reads?
No, I honestly could tell you my playbook from Indiana still, my playbook from Arizona. Like, I pick up on things really fast, and so having a bunch of plays isn't too hard for me.
Okay, great. Thank you.
We'll go to Matthew here next, and then Alex.
Hi, Coach. Matthew Walter from the Next. Like you talked about in your opening statement, this is probably the youngest team that you've had since you came to Oregon State. I know you talked about those challenges when you were at George Fox, but just what are the challenges of having such a young team in a system where you have a big playbook with lots of different actions and options, teaching all these new players what to do, especially as freshmen in a very intricate system like you have?
Well, I think, my job as a teacher, and that's how I view that role, my coaching role as I'm a teacher, is to put the student in position to be successful. And so too much too soon doesn't help. That clouds the mind. And so simplify as often as possible. The biggest challenge, I think, for a young team is just believing that they can. And so putting them in position to be successful, practice winning, practice success all the time, and keep it simple, coach it up, and go as fast as possible, and then add, when you can. And so that's been a philosophy of mine. There's certain teams that are veteran where we can get super intricate, and there's time and a place for that. And so this team, Bendu, she's right on. I mean, she's picked things up so quickly. You never know how that's going to go, but this group has problem solved well. They feel very comfortable in the gym. They communicate well, and it's everybody talking. And so I feel like we're going to really grow quickly. And as you know, if you look at our schedule, we've got some tough tests right away with our schedule. And because of that, those will be catalysts to quick growth for this group.
Alex next.
Alex Simon from Bay Area News Group over here. Scott, when you've been in this conference for as long as you have, I mean, there's some in the conference who've clearly been here a little bit longer than you in that way, but you remember
just one.
Well, you remember what life was like, though, before the Pac-12 networks in that regard, I would assume. And how has recruiting kind of changed in the exposure as for a program, in Corvallis, relatively speaking, on a smaller scale, how much has the Pac-12 networks and the opportunities that you guys have had on television changed from your first year to now here as you enter your 13th?
Yeah. Well, I think the network has been great for women's basketball, no question. I mean, for our fans to be able to see every game. I remember year one, I think we had one game on TV, and it was our Oregon game down there. And then a year later or 2 years later, we had 15, 16, something like that, and all of a sudden we're on all the time. That certainly helps. What ultimately helps is winning. And so we came in with a vision. The vision was just a vision. You know, some people knew my background, but not many people really think much of George Fox in D3 in this world. And so winning at Oregon State and having success and being competitive night in and night out really moved the needle for us. And that gained interest. And then the network assisted by allowing people to watch us, you know, more frequently. But the winning is what I think really ultimately got the attention necessary for recruiting.
And to even take that then to, I know you guys had a big game. I remember watching it on ESPN2 when you guys hosted Oregon for that to be a nationally televised game. Then how much can that extra bit, you're going to a national audience on a major network, is there a noticeable difference even for you in that regard too?
Yeah, I mean, that night Kara Lawson says on ESPN, you know, Gil, you stole my heart, you know, that day because of that game. And so you build towards those pinnacle moments. It's an amazing place to watch a game. It's an amazing place. It should be on TV. The games that we play within our rivalries, Stanford, our first ever sellout in 2017 was crazy. You know, we hosted Tennessee and had 8,200 in Gill, you know, the year before in 2015, December of. You know, those moments are also massive catalysts, you know, for recruiting when people can say, oh, that program has arrived, they belong, they can play with the best.
We'll go next to Nick over on the right and then Ann on the left.
Nick Daschel from the Oregonian. Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, but the PK 85 tournament, I don't know, women's college basketball has had a regular season tournament quite like that one with 8 teams. You and Oregon are both playing in that. What do you think is the impact of that tournament playing this year and then perhaps, you know, making this sort of a regular thing, maybe other places?
Well, I think it's a great opportunity. I think the fact that it's in Portland is fantastic for Beaver Nation. I think that's amazing. Anytime that you can play against great elite talent, it's going to make you better. I love playing against really good teams early. You learn about yourself. You learn everything's exposed. Your strengths are exposed and your weaknesses are very obvious. And so that tournament will provide us that opportunity. If it leads to more later, that's fantastic. But for an area of the country that loves women's basketball, like the state of Oregon, the Northwest in general, I mean, it's an ideal scenario. So we're very excited and honored to be participating.
And with the Pac-12 networks, welcome you guys. Scotty, when you've visited with us over the years, we've always talked about, and ladies jump in too, about the development of the post players under your tutelage. You lose a couple of bigs, but watching what Mitrovic has been able to do over the course of her career has been pretty special. Could you talk about Mitrovic's growth and development? And ladies, would you help us understand what it's like to play with someone that big whose skill level continues to grow?
Sure. First off, is that a water bottle on your desk? Congratulations. Oh, that's a water bottle. What's that gold? Is that a gold water bottle? Congratulations, Ann. Ann asked about Yelena Mitrovic and her development, and Yelena is on pace. It's just exactly what we probably hoped for in best case scenario, maybe a little slower than we would hope. However, if you think about Yelena's injuries, she's had kneecaps that have been displaced, and that's a family thing. The same thing happened to her brother, who's a pro in Serbia. That has been corrected, fixed, and now it's been fixed for 2.5 years. And so she's been able to develop strength in a part of her body that she wasn't confident in, wasn't strong in. And so, in my opinion, this is really the second year of her life that she's been able to actually play basketball, where you can get down low and you can jump and you can play on balance. And so that it's just amazing for us who've been in the gym with her for a while to watch her evolve and learn how fun this game is. So instead of every step being cautious or painful, it's joyful. It's like, I mean, she's almost like, I'm not going to say prancing, but what's one notch below that? That's what Yelena is doing right now. And so quicker, able to make double effort plays on the defensive end of the floor, and now just so much stronger on offense where the ball stays high because she can keep it high and finish on balance. She's developed her perimeter. I mean, she's always been a shooter, so she can shoot the three. It's just higher percentage now. She's on balance more. She's quicker into screens. She's quicker to offensive rebounds. She's quicker on defense. So her evolution has just been a joy to watch. And I couldn't be happier for her because she is a basketball player that happens to be 6'9". She's not just this tall kid that plays basketball. And so anybody that loves the game like she does, you just want them to have that joy out there, and that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, I think when you watch her play, it's easy to get caught up in, you know, she's 6'9", she's so tall, all of those things. But really, like, what you can't take away from her is how skilled she is. She's one of the most skilled players that I've ever played with. And it's just so cool to see someone at that size make plays that, you know, some guards can't make. Like, she's so smart. And her game just continues to grow. Like he said, she's so much more on balance, so much stronger, in better shape. And so it's been cool over the last year and a half going into this year just to see her development. And I remember coming in my senior year and just in practice making passes to her. I've never had to throw it that high for someone before. So I just remember Coach Scott just having to be like, you can get it up there. Like, I wasn't throwing it high enough. So just to have someone like that to play with is amazing. And just her maturity this year is so much different in how she approaches things. Because obviously she was blessed with height, but to really see her work as though, you know, things weren't given to her, and she was blessed with that. But she's just an amazing player, but it's just great to have someone of that size and skill and maturity on your team.
Yeah, she has really good hands. That's something that I've been really impressed with. You pass it up there, and she's grabbing it, and it's really hard to get it out of her hands. And also, she's a really good passer. Like a really extremely good passer. And so it's been really fun, you know, being able to throw up like kind of not really lobs, but they're lobs to her, and just seeing how she can catch and finish. And then, you know, if you're not watching, she's going to throw you a good bounce pass. And like, I've just been super impressed, but I love playing with her.
Last one over here to Shane on the left.
Yeah, Shane Hoffman, I-5 corridor. You mentioned spreading your wings a little bit ago, Bendu. I'm curious what you learned more as a individual rather than a player from that experience, and what maybe that could help you just now that you're coming back to this team. And then for you, Talia, how your role might change or what you might learn from playing with Bendu, especially on the defensive end.
Honestly, I think that when I went into college, I wasn't as confident as I am now, and I think it just built my confidence. Every stop I've been more and more confident, and obviously now I'm back in my comfort zone of being in Oregon, and so I'm the most confident I've ever been in my life. But yeah, all my experiences obviously have been good, and everything has been, you know, God's plan, and you know, I'm happy that I ended up where I needed to end up.
Yeah, and for me, it's been great to play with Bendu, even though it's her first year in this program. Like you said, she's been at Indiana, Arizona, played in some really big games, and has a lot of experience just in college. So there's a lot to learn from her, and I think both of us as leaders, her experience in college and my experience within our system and our program combined has been just amazing. We play really well together, and with her defense specifically, it's kind of just inspiring to watch how dedicated she is to it and how much it means to her and how important that side of the floor is. And it makes it really easy to embrace that side of the floor and play better defense. And she just makes everyone around her, everyone on the court, everyone watching better. And so it's just been great so far.